Agustus Gloop. Alright, here's the video on Agustus. So Agustus was the bad kid who wanted to eat all of the chocolate, or drink the chocolate river. So he fell in. And I guess there's a couple memorable images of him, primarily him stuck in the tube, being sucked up with the terrible pressure building up behind him. But I couldn't figure out a good, cheap, easy way to make him stuck in a tube. So the other one was him just kind of flailing around in the river before he gets sucked in. So again, we made him out of that same 1/8" board, at least the primary face that you see, or the section that you see of him. Printed out his face on the laser printer and laminated it so he could have a realistic looking face. But then I had to support his arms and his shoulders with some 11-ply birch plywood, just to give him the support as his arms are going back and forth. So he's pretty simple. He's just mounted on the plywood, like I mentioned, and then his arms are connected to the mechanism. Let me zoom out a bit here. His arms are connected to the mechanism with 1/2" PVC. And the two arms are joined with another cross member of PVC, and then finally joined to the motor with another piece, which translates the circular motion into a horizontal motion, causing his arms to swing back and forth. And just to give a little support of his arms as they fly back and forth, just a little bit of, I guess, that 1/16 inch steel cable. So it's a pretty simple mechanism, and this one was probably the second easiest to make, besides I guess Violet was the easiest to make. Anyway, so again, attached to a wiper motor, and then he kept falling off the chocolate river, so I had to stake him into the ground using a couple little stakes that I had. And he's wired all the way over to Violet Beauregard. He had his own power supply, but the power supply crapped out, so I had to return it. And since Violet is on a speed controller, it was beneficial to keep his arms from moving at top speed, because he was kind of shaking himself to death. So I slowed his motor down. So he's wired all the way back over here to Violet's speed controller, and they're running off the same 12-volt 5-amp power supply. And then I can control the speed through this dial here, which keeps Agustus going at a reasonable wave, and Violet going at a reasonable blueberry speed. Here's his motion. I wanted his arms waving out and then in, out then and in, but I couldn't figure out that mechanism. So he's just waving left and right. So here, how you can see what happens. See, the rotating motor pushes that connector piece left and then right, and then everything pivots. All the joints are just pivot joints, and then they're either lock washers, or I super glued the nuts. I didn't have enough lock washers, so super glue. I know that's not the right way to do it, but that's all that I had. Room for improvement, at least.